Title: The New Kid Who Wouldn't Break. When three bullies backed Kareem into a corner behind the gym, they expected him to be scared. Instead, one of them hit the ground within seconds, and the others learned the hard way that they had picked the wrong kid. But before that moment, nobody had paid much attention when Kareem Tolliver walked through the front doors of Millstone High in Lansing, Michigan. No welcome party, no whispers of curiosity, just another transfer student midway through the semester. He looked like he'd seen enough of the world already. A worn-out backpack slung over his shoulder, a faded hoodie zipped halfway, and that quiet, cautious way of moving, like someone who always read the room before saying a word. It was a cold Monday morning. Snow slush still clung to the sidewalks, and the school bell rang like a jolt through the hallways. Kareem paused at his locker, watching the sea of unfamiliar faces rush past. He wasn't nervous, just used to the drill. Find your classes, blend in, stay out of trouble. Inside his first period math class, a few heads turned when he entered. A girl whispered something to her friend. The teacher gave a brief smile and pointed him to an empty desk in the back. No introduction, no small talk, just quiet. Kareem didn't mind. Silence, he'd learned, could be a shield. In Detroit, where he was from, quiet often meant safety. He didn't wear anything flashy, didn't speak unless he had to. His uncle called it moving invisible. It was a skill you learned in neighborhoods where the wrong kind of attention could be dangerous. But Millstone High wasn't Detroit. Here the hallways gleamed. The students wore designer brands. Their haircuts looked like they came with appointments. They laughed loud, walked like they owned the place. Kareem saw the stares, at his shoes, his hoodie, the way he kept to himself. He said nothing. On his third day, he sat alone during lunch at the back of the cafeteria. A tray of spaghetti, a banana, chocolate milk. Simple. He ate slowly, listening, watching. That's when he heard the laugh. "Yo, what even is that? You bring that from home or something?" Kareem looked up. A tall white kid in a varsity jacket stood a few feet away, grinning. Brock Simmons, football co-captain, star tight end, self-proclaimed king of the junior class. Two of his boys flanked him, smirking. Kareem didn't respond. "Man's eating like it's the Great Depression," Brock added, loud enough for nearby tables to hear. Some kids laughed. Others just looked away. Kareem kept eating. He didn't want trouble. Not yet. One of Brock's friends, a shorter guy with a crew cut, leaned in. "You hear me, man? You deaf or just slow?" Kareem gave him a single glance, then stood up, picked up his milk, and walked away without a word. No scene, no reply, just silence. But it didn't end there. That afternoon, someone knocked his books off his desk in science. No one took credit. The teacher didn't notice. Later, charity case appeared in dry erase marker on his locker door. He wiped it off. The ink vanished, but the message didn't. That evening, Kareem rode the number 112 bus to the edge of town, where his Uncle Reggie's boxing gym sat behind a tire shop. The scent of sweat and leather hit him before the doorbell even chimed. "You good?" Reggie asked, glancing up while taping another kid's hands. "Yeah," Kareem muttered. "Just school." Reggie didn't press. He just nodded toward the mats. "Let it out. That's what they're for." Kareem changed, stepped up, and went to work. Hooks, counters, footwork. Fast, sharp, controlled. He didn't need to prove anything. He just needed to remember who taught him that anger is never the first move. But something shifted after that cafeteria moment. A small spark had caught fire. What should have been a forgettable joke became something else. Because Kareem hadn't reacted. He hadn't flinched. And that bothered Brock. By Friday, whispers about the new kid filled the locker rooms. He doesn't talk, just stares. Thinks he's tough. In gym class, Kareem was paired with Brock for basketball drills. When Brock passed the ball too hard into his chest, Kareem didn't flinch. He just snapped it back, straight and sharp, and the sound echoed. A few boys chuckled. Brock gave a tight smile. He'd made up his mind. He didn't like Kareem. After that, it got childish. Gum in the locker, snide comments. Someone tripped Kareem near the vending machines. He never said a word, never hit back. But silence in a place like Millstone? That was fuel. And Brock was holding a lighter. At lunch, Brock's insults grew louder. "You from Detroit, right?" he shouted one day. "You bring your bulletproof vest or leave it with your cousin." Some kids laughed. Some looked away. Kareem just stared at his sandwich. "He's not crazy," Brock said another time, loud enough for the cafeteria to hear. "He's just another hood story waiting to happen." That one cut deep. After school, Kareem walked faster to the bus stop. He'd seen where this kind of thing could go. And this time, it felt personal. At home, Uncle Reggie noticed. "You holding something back?" Kareem nodded slowly. Reggie took a sip of coffee. "Sometimes holding back's harder than throwing a punch." "I know," Kareem said. "You're not there to teach anyone a lesson. You're there to graduate, build something." "I get it." Reggie held his gaze. "But if someone backs you into a corner, you don't let them walk over you either." Kareem didn't answer. He didn't need to. Back at school, rumors started swirling. That he'd been kicked out of his last school. That he'd fought a teacher. None of it was true. But facts didn't matter when stories spread faster than the truth. In history class, Brock leaned in. "You ever seen a real fight, Tolliver? Like up close, blood on the floor type." Kareem finally glanced back. "You don't want that kind." Brock raised an eyebrow. "Is that a threat?" "It's a warning." The smirk faded. Then Brock made a choice. After sixth period, Kareem was walking with headphones in, heading toward the back parking lot. Brock and two of his guys followed. "Yo, Tolliver!" Kareem pulled out an earbud and turned. "You think you're tough?" Brock asked. "Number, I act like I want to be left alone." "You don't get to choose that." Kareem's shoulders tensed. "Then don't complain when I don't play nice." The bell rang behind them, but this moment stood still. What Brock didn't know was that he was pressing against something trained, not to break, but to strike. The next day, Friday, cold wind cut through the parking lot. Kareem stayed behind, helping the janitor stack desks. By the time he walked around the back of the gym, the lot was nearly empty. Brock stood waiting near the dumpsters, flanked by Logan and Ty. They pretended to be casual, hands in pockets. But Kareem could see through it. He didn't change pace, just kept walking. "Hey," Brock called. Kareem stopped, 10 feet away. "You think you're better than everyone?" Brock sneered. "Sitting by yourself, staring like you're above us?" "I'm just minding my business," Kareem replied. "Number. You're disrespecting mine." Kareem squared up. "You got something to prove? Prove it." That's when Logan lunged, shoved Kareem hard. Kareem didn't move. "Back up," he said, low and calm. Brock laughed. "Go on, Logan." Logan swung, but before the punch could land, Kareem was already moving. A twist, a pivot, and Logan hit the ground with a thud. Ty froze. Kareem turned to Brock. "Don't." But Brock wasn't done. Not yet. He came in swinging, high, heavy, assuming brute force would land the win. But here, muscle wasn't the answer. Kareem slipped the punch like it was routine, pivoted low, and planted an elbow in Brock's ribs with just enough force to unbalance him. Brock stumbled. Ty backed up fast. "Yo, chill," he shouted. It was over in under 15 seconds. Brock dropped to one knee, panting hard. Logan sat frozen beside the dumpster, eyes stretched wide. Ty stood with both hands raised like he'd just watched a car get flipped by someone's bare hands. Kareem? He didn't move, didn't celebrate, just stood there, breathing steady. That's when Mr. Langford, assistant principal, turned the corner. "What's going on here?" Brock scrambled up. "He jumped us." Kareem raised an eyebrow. "You serious?" "I didn't even touch you until you swung first." "He's crazy," Brock said, backing away. "I didn't do nothing." Langford scanned the scene. No blood, no bruises, just tight air and wide eyes. But something felt off. Kareem didn't look shaken or wild. His hands were still, expression calm, in control. "Come with me," Langford said. They walked in silence. No arguing, no explanations. In the office waiting room, Kareem sat across from Brock. Logan had already called his dad. Ty kept his mouth shut. Brock muttered under his breath like a curse he couldn't stop repeating. "He's done. He's done for." Kareem didn't even glance his way. Inside the principal's office, Langford gave Kareem a long, hard look. "Want to explain?" Kareem kept his voice level. "No lies, no drama, just facts." Langford listened. then leaned back in his chair. "You're lucky nobody's bleeding." Kareem said nothing. "You know there's zero tolerance here." "I didn't start it." Langford let out a tired breath. "Doesn't matter who started it. It matters who ended it." Kareem stared down at the desk. "Then maybe you should talk to the ones who just watched it happen." Langford blinked. For a second, he didn't have a reply. But when the dust settled and adults came into the picture, Kareem wasn't hailed a hero. Not even close. By Monday, Millstone High was buzzing, but not loudly. The fight had turned into whispers, sideways stares, and quick exits. Kareem walked the halls like a ghost everyone could see, but no one wanted to cross. He wasn't the invisible new kid anymore. He was something else, something dangerous. In first period, the guy who used to sit behind him quietly moved seats. At lunch, conversation died when Kareem entered. No greetings, no jokes, just silence. But it wasn't the usual kind of silence. This one echoed. He took his usual seat in the back, set down his tray, and ate alone. Same position, same food, but everything felt different. Before they ignored him, now they avoided him. Across the room, Brock held court at a crowded table, retelling the story like a blockbuster villain had ambushed him. "Dude's psycho," he said, "like something out of a movie. Kicked Logan's legs out like he's Bruce Lee or whatever. Nobody does that unless they've been in real fights." Ty stayed silent. Logan didn't show up at all. One girl at the table tilted her head. "But didn't you guys surround him first?" Brock shot back sharp. "Nah, we were just talking." He snapped. She didn't buy it, but she let it go. In gym, no one partnered with Kareem. Coach Rollins didn't explain, just said, "Shadow drills today." Kareem didn't protest. After school, he didn't head to the gym. Instead, he walked the long way home, past the corner store, through an alley he hadn't touched since moving in. He needed space. Quiet. At home, Uncle Reggie was watching an old UFC match. Kareem dropped his bag and collapsed onto the couch. "Rough one?" Reggie asked. "People look at me different now." "You thought they'd thank you?" "No," Kareem muttered, "but I didn't think they'd act like I'm dangerous." Reggie muted the TV. "Listen, you stand up for yourself, and win. People notice. Strength makes weak folks nervous, especially the loud ones." Kareem stared at the carpet. "I didn't even go hard." "I know," Reggie said, "but that kid, you showed him something about himself he wasn't ready to see." Kareem looked up. "What do I do now?" "Keep your head. Remember why you're there." Kareem didn't reply, because part of him, deep down, wished he had gone harder. At school, things kept shifting. A few teachers gave him long, quiet looks. A guidance counselor called him in. "I just want to check in," she said gently. "Mid-year transfers can be tough." Kareem nodded. Her smile was polite but tight. "Do you ever feel angry?" He stared. "Why?" "No reason, just a question." He stood up and left before she could ask another. That night, a post hit social media. Blurry footage of the fight, just a few seconds behind the gym. The caption read, "He thinks he's in an action movie. Scared yet?" Brock's burner account. The comments came fast. "Yo, he dropped Logan. Dude's a beast. Nah, he's off. Like something's not right. Why is he even here if he's going to act like that?" Kareem read them all. Not once. Not twice. Enough to feel the knot tightening in his chest. He wasn't ashamed. But now the story wasn't his anymore. The next morning, 2 security officers stood by the front entrance. They were new. During homeroom, the principal's voice crackled over the intercom. "All students involved in last week's incident are currently under review. A formal hearing is scheduled for Thursday." Kareem didn't flinch, just stared ahead. Now it was official. But the worst part? Brock still wasn't done. Brock Simmons didn't know how to lose. Not on the field, not in the halls, not with an audience. That hit behind the gym hurt more than his ribs. It shattered the version of himself he sold to everyone else. So he did what kids like Brock always do. He lied. He whispered to teachers. Said he didn't feel safe around Kareem. Dropped rumors like breadcrumbs. Kareem had been kicked out of 2 schools. Broke someone's nose in middle school. Carried a knife in his bag. None of it true. None of it questioned. That video Brock posted, it kept spreading. Edited short. Cut right before Logan swung first. Kareem looked like the aggressor. Calm, cold, calculated. Brock added captions. Look how he moves. That's not normal. Then hashtags. Josh Millstone threat. Josh, he shouldn't be here. And the comments turned darker. He's not like us. Bet he did time. Kick him out before he hurts someone. Kareem saw it all. Didn't reply. Didn't post a defense. But silence has a price. That Tuesday, his mom got a call from the school. By Wednesday, the hearing was locked in. He'd need a parent or guardian present. Reggie took the day off work. The conference room was plain. A long table. Cold chairs. On the other side sat the principal, a board member, and the head of student discipline. Kareem sat quietly beside Reggie, who had come prepared. Documents, statements, everything they'd need if things turned south. Brock wasn't there. He didn't need to be. His version of the story was already in the air, heavy and unchallenged. Langford cleared his throat. We've received several concerns from students, faculty, and parents. It's our responsibility to assess whether Kareem Tolliver poses a continued safety risk to the student body. Reggie leaned forward. My nephew is not a threat. He's trained in self-defense. He didn't seek out a fight. He tried to walk away. He even warned them. A board member peered over his glasses. Is it true he has combat training? Reggie didn't hesitate. Yes, but training doesn't mean violence. It means control. It means knowing how not to hurt someone. An assistant principal spoke up. There's a video going around. It doesn't show how the altercation started. Of course it doesn't, Reggie cut in. It's edited. Silence. Then Kareem's voice finally broke through. They came after me. I didn't throw the first punch. I didn't even want to be there. The board member tapped the folder in front of him. Still, we have reports that you engaged in physical aggression. Kareem stayed calm. So what should I have done? Let them beat me? The room quieted again. Reggie leaned back, eyes sharp. This isn't just about a fight. It's about what you think my nephew is. You saw a big, quiet black boy who defended himself and decided he must be the problem. Langford looked uneasy. One board member scribbled notes. The decision was postponed. They needed time. Outside, Reggie let out a slow breath. You did good. Kareem shrugged. Doesn't feel like it. They heard you. Might not say it, but they did. That night, Kareem didn't eat much. He sat on the back steps, eyes on the stars, feeling everything tilt sideways. He had done the right thing. So why did it still feel like he was the one on trial? But the real shift began with someone Kareem never expected. Thursday morning. The school felt different. The hearing decision hadn't come down, but Kareem could tell. He wasn't a student anymore. He was a rumor in sneakers. Some kids stared. Some whispered. Most just looked away. By lunch, his usual spot felt colder than usual. He sat quietly, half-finished apple in hand, when someone slid into the seat across from him. A white girl, short auburn hair, big glasses, quiet. He recognized her. Delaney Foster, always drawing, always silent. She leaned in and whispered, I saw everything. Kareem blinked. What? Behind the gym. I was sketching near the dumpsters. I didn't mean to be there. I stayed quiet because I didn't want to get involved. But this hearing, it's not right. He stared at her. Why now? She looked straight at him. Because if they expel you over Brock's lie, I'm guilty too, for saying nothing. You're not messing with me? No. Her voice was firm. I already told the assistant principal. I'll testify at the next hearing. That night, Kareem told Reggie everything. She's going to testify? Yeah. You trust her? I don't know, but she sounded real. Reggie nodded. Sometimes people stay quiet until the cost of silence gets too high. Friday, the second hearing. The atmosphere had shifted. Delaney sat at the end of the table, hands folded, voice shaking slightly, but her words cut through the room like glass. They cornered him, 3 against 1. Logan swung first. Kareem only defended himself. He told them to back off, more than once. I saw it all. Even Langford paused his note-taking. You waited until now? A board member asked. Delaney shook her head. I was scared, but that's not a good excuse. Her voice cracked at the end. Still, her testimony held. 15 minutes later, they were dismissed. Outside in the cold parking lot, Kareem said quietly, "She didn't have to do that." "No," Reggie replied, "but she did." The aftermath. The decision came the next morning. Kareem Tolliver will not face disciplinary action. Evidence supports his claim of self-defense. Reggie printed it out and stuck it to the fridge. But even with the case closed, things at school hadn't magically healed. The tension eased but didn't disappear. Brock avoided Kareem. Logan kept his head down. Ty found a new lunch table. One afternoon, as Kareem was shutting his locker, Delaney passed by. She didn't say anything, just raised her hand in a small wave. Kareem smiled. Just a little. Sometimes words weren't needed, but something in the air had changed. Small things. Two freshmen stood up for a kid getting mocked outside the gym. Two freshmen stood up for a kid getting mocked outside the gym. A teacher stepped in when a student made a slick comment in class. Nothing huge, but enough. Still, Kareem carried something heavier than bruises. Justice had come, but healing was a different story. The assembly. The final bell rang before winter break. The hallways were loud again. Plans, laughter, the slam of lockers. But Kareem stayed behind, leaning on his locker, untouched by the buzz. Miss Curtis caught him as he walked out. "Hey, Kareem, wait up." He turned. "Yeah?" "One of the speakers dropped out of tomorrow's assembly. A few of us thought, maybe you'd consider speaking." "Me? Like, in front of everyone?" She smiled. "Only if you want to. But I think people should hear your version of the story. The real one." Kareem didn't answer, just nodded once. That night he sat on his floor, staring at a blank notepad for nearly an hour before writing a single line. "I didn't ask to be here, but I'm not going anywhere either." The speech. The auditorium was packed, lights low, students restless, teachers lined the walls. When Kareem's name was called, he walked to the mic. No script, no paper, just his voice. "I've been called a lot since I got here. Quiet, weird, dangerous. Some of y'all still don't know what to make of me." A few nervous laughs. "I didn't come to fight. I came to finish school. I just wanted to get through the day like everyone else." The room stilled. "I won't stand here and act perfect. I've made mistakes. I've been angry. I've been hurt. But if the only story you know about me is the one someone else told, then you never knew me." He looked around. "I'm not from here. I'm from a place where staying quiet can keep you alive, where you learn when to speak and when silence keeps you safe. But here, I learned silence just makes the rumors louder." He nodded at the back row. "I'm thankful to those who listened, and to those who didn't, I'm still here. You couldn't scare me off." In the crowd, Delaney sat quietly watching. "I guess what I'm saying is, don't be so quick to label people. You don't know their story. You don't know what they've had to carry. And next time, maybe instead of pushing, laughing, or posting something fake, try asking." He stepped back. The mic clicked off. No sound. Then one clap. Then another. Then it spread. Slow but real. A new chapter. That afternoon in the courtyard, a younger kid stopped Kareem. "You really trained to fight?" Kareem shrugged. "I trained to stay ready." The kid nodded. "Can you teach me?" Kareem paused. "You sure?" "It's not about hurting people." "I know. I just don't want to be scared anymore." Kareem smiled slightly. "All right then. First lesson, stand tall, even when it's easier to shrink." They walked toward the gate, not teacher and student, just two kids figuring it out together. Because the hardest fights aren't with fists. They're with a world that keeps asking you to prove you belong. And Kareem Tolliver? He wasn't going anywhere.